Hello, hello, hello. How are you guys doing this evening? It is 12:40 a.m. Can you believe that I actually got up to vlog at night instead of in the morning with the sun shining outside? How are you guys doing this evening? I need some lip balm. What I really need to do is I need to order some of that Sol de Janeiro lip balm because that's my favorite and I'm like out of it. I have just a little bit left. By the way, can I just tell you that this hand sanitizer from Bath & Body Works, I think it's called Pumpkin Cupcake, I love. It smells so good. It smells so fallish. I'm just going to use my watermelon. Cucumber watermelon. Summer lip balm. What a good day today was. It was a good day, but it felt like kind of a long day. But I got a lot of things accomplished today. So I vlogged earlier, as you know. I finally left the house. I don't know what time it was. 1 something, and vlogged. And then I finished my vlog, and then I did the review of, what do you call it? The Dairy Queen Caramel Apple Pie Blizzard. It was so good. It was funny because there was a couple comments on the video that people had tried it and they didn't really like it. I thought it was really good. But the things that they said about it, I can totally see why they wouldn't like it. So anyway, I did that, and I just kind of drove and listened to my audiobook a lot today while I was while I was running errands. It was really nice. I felt very relaxed today. It was a beautiful fall day. It was supposed to be like 80, but it really never got higher than like the low 70s. I saw my neighbor, Laura, and she was outside doing yoga in her yard. And I stopped and I talked to her when I was like coming home, and she said, it's so hot outside. And I looked at my temperature thing, and it said it was like 72 or 73. All my neighbors were outside today. It was kind of like a fall neighbory day. My other neighbor was painting things in her driveway all day long, and she and I stood there and talked well, she was painting, and I stood there and talked to her for a little bit. And it was just a good day. And then I came home and I filmed a drama video, and I filmed a Peterisms video, and I was going to film, and then I started uploading all of those. I was going to film a booktube video. I was going to do a book tag, and I was going to do a Peter Does Stuff video. I was trying to figure out what to do one about. I have a couple different ideas for videos that I want to do on my Peter Does Stuff channel. I know people are probably like, well, it's real simple. You went through a car wash, you showed your record albums, and you made coffee in a percolator. Like, how difficult can it be to come up with things for that channel? But like for me, and I don't know how to explain this, but for me, it's like very like specific, like the things that I would do on that channel, like when I'm thinking about it. Like, okay, in all honesty, like it has to be a certain way for me, because I want that channel to be just kind of like encompassing exactly who I am, very much like this channel. It's kind of like my vlog, except for it is very pointed in like what each video is about, right? So I was thinking about doing a video making the bed. I know this sounds silly, right? But just hear me out. I was gonna make a video making the bed, and then I was gonna sit on the bed with the dogs, and I was gonna go through Tucker's toys that he has, and I was gonna explain why each toy is important to him. Because that's something that, like, in our house, like, if I ask Alex, like, what are Tucker's 5 favorite toys, per Peter and the stories of each toy, he would know. Like, he'd say, well, I mean, he probably wouldn't. He'd think it was stupid, but he would say, like, that's Lady, and the reason why Lady is important is because, you know, whatever. And that's, you know, Henry the Hippo, and that's Bird. There's like, you know, and I was going to go through each toy and talk about them, and then I was going to talk to Boo and Tucker, and I was going to do their little voices and stuff like that. The other one that I was going to do was that I bought these gorgeous mums from Melissa's Dog Rescue fundraiser that she did, and they're starting to slowly open. And so I was going to take footage of them, like, opening each day and put it together in, like, a longer video. But I didn't do that. So, I mean, it's never too late. I could still do that. And then I want to make coffee in a French press. And there's, like, I want to make coffee, like, 3 or 4 different ways. But, I think I'll save those for a little bit. Like, I want to do maybe, like, 1 each season. So since I did the percolator at the end of summer, I'm going to do 1 in the fall. But I'm going to make some things on that channel too. And just try some different things. I mean, it's called Peter Does Stuff. I can try to make some things over there. I want to make, like, homemade bird feeders. That's one thing that I want to do over there. Because when I was a kid, I can remember in elementary school, we took, like, I need to look it up and Google it and see how you do it. But I remember we took, like, pine cones. We went outside of the school, I think, and we, like, each got, like, oh, area right there, so bad at construction. We each went and got a pine cone, or the teacher had brought them in for us or whatever. And then we, like, rolled the pine cones in peanut butter, I think it was. Or took, like, a knife and put it all over the pine cone. And then we rolled the pine cones with peanut butter in bird seed. And then we took it, like, we dried them, and then we took them home. And then you just hung them outside, and then the birds could eat them, you know, and it was safe for that. But I have to see, because I don't want to put something out for the birds that's not safe, and I want to make sure that peanut butter is safe for birds before I do that. So I need to Google how to make a homemade bird feeder. And there's some other things I want to do. That Charlie horse that I had last night in my leg literally killed my leg all day long. Like, it just was hurting all day long. I drank so much water today. Cheers. Valerie texted me. She must be watching my vlog. And she was like, magnesium helps with Charlie horses, which I have magnesium at home. I thought it was potassium. But anyway, so tomorrow I have a hair appointment at 1 o'clock, and then I have a bunch of things I want to get done. So I did all that today, and then Alex got done about, what time did he get done tonight? He got done at like 5:30, I think. I was done with, like, all of my videos. I had, like, all of them were, like, uploaded or were, like, finalizing uploading. And I had fed the dogs, and I had taken the trash out, because the trash is tomorrow, trash day. And I had, like, gathered all the trash and put it in the trash can and done all of that. And I was just, because I wanted him to be able to come home and not have to, like, do anything tonight, you know? So he came home, and he was reading. He had, like, a bunch of, like, work stuff he had to read. So he was, like, in the corner, like, where the fire, like, the fire, he likes to read in that corner. I think it's really sweet. My mom would love that. That chair that's in the corner by the bookcase, he, like, turns that light on over there if he's reading, and so he was over there reading. So I was like, well, earlier, no. Earlier, he was, like, on the couch, and he was looking through all the pictures. The pictures came back of, like, our family pictures that we did. So he was looking through all of those, and he was, like, showing them to me. I got Noodles and Company yet again, and which is kind of how I am. Like, I'll eat one thing, and then I, like, go through it and go through it and go through it until I just can't do it anymore, you know? But anyway, he sat there, and I watched The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, the reunion, the third part. He had already watched it, but he watched it with me, and he was, like, looking through pictures and showing me pictures. And then, so then I said, oh, it was before that, I think. I was waiting for my vlog to get uploaded. I went out on the front porch, and I was like, I want to read out here for a little bit. So I read like, I don't know, 30 plus pages or something like that of A Series of Unfortunate Events, book 1 by Lemony Snicket. I'm really liking it. I'm like halfway through it right now. About the Baudelaire children, and Violet, Klaus, and Sunny. It's good. I like it. I was kind of like, while I was reading it today, I was like, do I want to read the whole series? I'll kind of have to see what happens at the end of the book, of book 1. So I'm reading that, and then I'm also reading this Harlequin romance, because for one of my videos, for BookTube, I went and I bought like some of like what would have been my grandma's favorite books, because my grandma loved to read Harlequin novels. When I was growing up as a kid, she always was reading a Harlequin novel. And so I'm reading this novel. I don't know what it's called. I don't really, it's really hard to understand, honestly. Like, I'm very confused about it. It's about this guy. Well, first of all, I have to say, like, one of the things that's interesting to me is how many of these Harlequin novels, well, there were only like 6 or 7 at the thrift store when I went there, but of all of them, there were like 3, I think, that had 3, maybe more, that had like some kind of military background kind of story going on, which I don't know why, like, that would be a common thread, and they weren't all by the same author either. But this one is about this guy that was in the military, and he was in Afghanistan, but then he was in Germany at this hospital, and he met this other guy that's like super, super angry, and they're like in this bar, and the one guy's watching the angry guy, and he like approaches him about a job, because he has like what do you call it, a private eye kind of, what's that called? I just heard that song, Private Eye by Hall & Oates, in my head. But he has like a private investigator. I was like, what does Private Eye stand for? He has a private investigator firm in this like small town, and it's called like, the town is called Purgatory, of course. And so anyway, and then it like starts, and it's about this woman, and she's like, oh, do I have time to go to the nail salon and get my nails filled before? It's just, it's very confusing. I don't, like, for such a, what's supposed to be a simple book, like, I'm very confused by what's going on. Like, I find myself rereading paragraphs and stuff. Like, I'm, like, so confused by the names. And, of course, all of the names are these extravagant names, you know? But I have to say, what's interesting to me about it is, you know, it's, like, not the first romance that I've ever read. And, you know, I've read these romances that are, like, bestsellers and stuff. And it's really no better or no worse. And then I'm like, I was feeling sorry for the author. I was like, maybe she sold 1 million copies and I don't know. But I'm like, this is really not that, like, as confusing as it is. Like, it is confusing. But, like, the writing isn't bad. You know what I mean? Like, the quality of the writing is not horrible. So I'm like, I don't know, like, she sold to Harlequin when somebody else just got an agent and they made millions of dollars, whereas this person probably did not. I don't know, but it's interesting. So I'm reading those 2 books. I honestly don't know that I'll make it through the Hallmark one. It's large print, which is great for me with my reading glasses, which I can't believe that I'm even saying that, but it's like large print, and it's like 200. Well, I actually went in today because I counted like how many pages a day I would have to read from each. This is so stupid. I used to do this when I was younger, but I went in to see how many pages a day I would have to read for each book to finish it in like a week. Which the Lemony Snicket one is easy. It's like, I think it's like 30 pages, 29, 30 pages a day. Whereas the other one is like 55 pages a day. So that one I probably will not be finishing this week, because I only read like 3 pages of it tonight. I just am having a hard time getting into it. And then of course I'm still listening to the Dorinda Jones book, which I absolutely love, and it's fantastic. And I have like I think I have like 2.5 hours left of that. on Audible. So those are the books that I'm reading right now. I don't know what I'm going to read next or listen to next on Audible. I don't know. I have a book picked out that I was going to read next. It's from the guy who wrote The Woman at the Bottom of the Sea, or whatever that book was called. He did a book called The Naturalist, and it's actually like a 3-part series that I heard was really good, and people commented on, like, when I talked about it in my video, that book, people were like, oh, he had a series that was really great. So I might read the series. If not, I might go back and read My Life as a White Trash Zombie. One of my sober friends is calling me. We'll see if they leave a message. If they leave a message, I'm gonna have to call them back. I might go back and read My Life as a White Trash Zombie, because I've only read like books 1 and 2, and then I might finish the series. Or I might start reading I don't know, I feel like I want to get into a series, but then if I get into a series, like, the thing is that this is where, like, I can never think of things to talk about when I vlog for my BookTube channel, and then I get on here, and I'm like, all I do is talk about books. But if I start, like, a long series, like, I was going to start those Jonathan Kellerman books. I think the first one's called When the Bow Breaks. I bought it, like, a year ago or something. That, like, then I'm not going to want to get out of reading that series. Like, I was thinking about maybe starting the Janet Ivanovich series. But if I read those books, then I'm not going to want to get out of that series. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of partly why I don't love series sometimes, is because once I start it, I don't want to stop it. Or because if I start it and I go to something else and I don't come back to it, which is like the Diana Rowland books, My Life as a White Trash Zombie. You know, it's like, I don't know, maybe I need to start seeing them like series of like a Netflix show, you know, and each book is a season. Because it's not like you have to read them, like, right all together. You know what I mean? But so many books, so little time. And then I was going to stop by Tanya's house. And I didn't end up getting that done today. Because it got late. And then Alex came home. And then he had already eaten. He ate late in the day. He went with his friend late in the day and went and had lunch. They went to this restaurant called Rise, I think, and he had like avocado toast and some other stuff. So I asked him if he wanted anything, and he said no. So I went to Noodles and Company myself, and yeah. That's it. And then after I was done, he wanted to read that stuff, so I lay down, and oh my god, my nap was so good. When I woke up, I laid down. It wasn't too late either when I woke up. Well, when I lay down, it was like probably no later than 9, and I woke up at like 12. So I slept like 3 hours. Like, I'm awake right now. Like, I'm awake. And so I shouted down to him. I said, are you still reading? I could see where the light was in the house. And he was still reading. He was like, yeah. And I said, our bed is too comfortable. I said, I think that's why I'm sleeping too much. Our bed is so comfortable. We have one of those box mattresses that I actually did a sponsorship for, like, I don't know, like 2 years ago or more. And it was for that Helix bed. I don't think I never had like an affiliate code where I made money off of it, but I had a code that people could get 10% off. I don't know if I have it anymore, but it is, text my friend, let's see. I'm gonna wait and see what she says back. 3 little dots she's writing back. And then, I don't think it really, I've talked about this on here before. I don't think, I hate when I do that. Oh shit, what did I do? The Helix bed, yes. So, our bed is so comfortable. So comfortable. If you're looking for a new mattress or a new bed, I would like highly, highly, highly suggest getting some kind of like box mattress. And if you don't know which one to get, look up Helix, because that's what we have, and it's so comfortable. You can design each side differently. They're fantastic. By the way, I read all the comments, and then I also Googled how long should a MacBook Pro last you. 8 to 10 years, they said. And I'm having problems with it. So, I think maybe, like, I don't know. I don't want to take it in. Here's the thing. I know people don't understand this, but, like, if I take it into the Apple store, then, like, I'm going to be out of it for at least a day. And so then that's a computer. I don't have a computer to work on, you know? So we'll see. And all my stuff is on that computer, so for me to transfer over to Alex's computer, it's a lot. I don't know, I'll figure it out, but like, it's just, it's acting so strange. It's like, and I don't even know really how to explain things to you. Like, if I take it and I airdrop like something, like let's say a screen, okay, like a thumbnail, because like I'll airdrop my thumbnails from my computer to my phone, and then I'll upload them to Twitter from my phone with the link to the video, right? So if I do that, it just does this thing, right? Like the buffering thing, you know what I'm talking about? The color wheel kind of thing. It'll do that for like 30 seconds. And then finally, like everything is really slow. When I want to airdrop something, it'll say fetching, which I don't know why it says that. It's never said that before. When I put in the computer I was going to show you, but it's in the computer. When I put the memory card into the thing, like it doesn't show up for like probably 30 seconds. Like everything is delayed. And I'm not really sure what's going on with that. And somebody said in there, somebody commented, I appreciate all of your suggestions, but they said something about their husband like put more like RAM in there and all this kind of, okay, listen, I do not know how to do any of that kind of stuff, okay? Like that's, when you start talking about that stuff, like that's way over my head. I don't know how to do any of that kind of stuff. And quite frankly, with a computer that is, you know, like a year old, I don't really feel like I should be doing all of that stuff. Alex is convinced that it's because I need, like, my software update. So I did look, and I hadn't, like, so I set it for tonight to be updated. So we'll see. Maybe tomorrow it'll be better. Because I was saying, you know, he was like, no, but it's like, I don't know I don't know what he said, but something about, you're talking about something different. So, like, me saying that I updated, like, the apps and stuff is different than an actual software update. I don't know. I'm so confused by all of it. Like, I really am not technological at all. People all the time, like, they assume because you do YouTube that, like, you have, like, when I'm, like, you know, see people, you know, like, they're always, like, when they're asking you what I do, they're like, now, do you use this and do you use that? And I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Like, I literally upload a video to YouTube. Like, it's really that simple. It's really not that difficult whatsoever. And YouTube walks you through the whole process. So, it's not, like, it's hard at all. True story, I used to edit my videos on YouTube. They used to have editing software, right? And I would edit my videos on YouTube. The vlog was like a main thing that I did. I would upload each part. So I would upload it into my computer, and then I would like upload each part. When they took that feature away on YouTube, like, I honest to God, I was like, I don't know what I'm going to talk about. I can remember talking to my friend at the time, and he was like laughing at me. He was like, what are you going to do? Because you don't know how to edit your vlogs. I was like, I have no idea what I'm going to do. Like, I literally have no idea what I'm going to do. Like, I don't know how to edit these vlogs. I had no clue how I was going to get the vlogs up. And they've changed a couple things over time, and like now I don't do any of my editing, I mean, I've had to like teach myself. I haven't done any, like, and just basically, to be honest with you, Googling stuff and saying like how to do this, how to do that. Like, that's what I do, and I just follow the directions and it works, and then I teach myself, you know. But I don't, yeah, I mean, like, YouTube doesn't have any of that software on there anymore, but they used to make it really easy. You could do a lot of that stuff on YouTube. I don't really know why they took that stuff off. Look at this. Wood Spring Suites is like packed, this hotel. Oh my God, it's like there's not like a parking space available in the whole area. Oh my God, in the back either. It's packed. And then right next door is the, what is that called? Sure Stay. And it has 3 cars in the parking lot. I need to buy some more wedding drops for my eyes. It's 62 degrees outside. It's a beautiful evening. One of my friends from high school messaged me tonight on Facebook, and she was like, this is my friend that lives in Portland, and she had taken a picture. She sent me a picture of these 3 stories that I must have like given her copies of back in the day. One was called Moving Day. I should actually, she asked me, she's like, do you want me to send them to you? I should actually ask her to send them to me. I'll tell her I'll pay for postage. Since I'm here at the post office. Well, I can't buy the postage for her here, but right now, but I'm gonna message her. I kind of would like to have them. I feel like a couple of them I already, the stories I know. I don't really remember like under the condition of why I gave them to her, which is so funny. That this is my friend that I always made clothes for in high school. Oh wait, she messaged me back. She's so sweet. I asked her if she'd send them to me and I would pay for postage. Here, I'll tell you what they're called. They're called, here's the picture. The Children's Play, His Eyes on a Sparrow, The Grotto, and Moving Day. And they're all by me. They have my name on them. They say Peter Monn on them. So I wonder if Peter Monn. I'm wondering if they were like things I wrote from my creative writing class, because that first semester before she went to IU, she and I were still really, really close because she was a senior in high school. So I bet my friend that watches Stephanie that watches my videos that I was friends with in high school, she was friends with her too. And we all hung out a lot. So see, my first year in college, almost all of my friends went away to college. They almost all went to IU Bloomington. One went to Purdue. One went to Ball State. And then my friend that I had gone to elementary, junior high, high school, and college, graduate school with, she and I went to college together. Like, we drove down to school together and stuff. And, you know, I kind of look back on that year. That was kind of a sad year for me, in all honesty. Like, that first year of college and all of that. Like, it had stopped and I was still talking, so I don't know where I was at. But I was talking about how my first year of college was kind of like a really sad year for me. And I think that's really where a lot of, like, the at home by myself drinking, like, really escalated. So I moved in to my apartment that summer on my birthday. I had my own apartment and I had a fake ID. Like, I had a fake ID with my picture on it, so I could go into any liquor store and buy liquor. So, and I really preferred drinking by myself at home than with somebody else. And all of my friends moved, except for this one friend. And I kind of, like, when they went to especially my friends that went to IU, because those were my closest friends. When they went to IU, I kind of was like, you know, like, I would talk to them on the phone, but, like, they were kind of like, we were at the beginning, that was at the beginning of, like, their hippie stage. And so they went down to IU. They all started living in this, they all lived in this dorm together called Collins, which was like living and learning center, Collins LLC. And it was like where all the hippies lived. It was very artsy fartsy and all that kind of stuff. And, you know, I felt completely excluded from that story. Well, my friend that lived here in Indianapolis, she lived in Carmel still, where we went to high school. She had a boyfriend that was a year older than her, her boyfriend lived with her sister. So, her sister was like 10 years older than her. So she was like with her boyfriend all the time. Plus she worked like a part-time, full-time job. She worked like 30 hours a week. So I didn't. I wasn't working at all. And all I was doing was school. I was taking, you know, 15 credit hours of classes. And towards the end of my college career, my grades were really bad. But I would say at the beginning, I was really invested, like, in school and going to school and all that kind of stuff. And I met a few people that I made friends with, but not tons. And that was when through the guy that we met, well, she knew from the mall working, that I met, who became like the first gay guy that I ever met. I ended up using all of his information to get my fake ID and stuff. He and I started going out a lot. And then I met people, including like my very, very first boyfriend, who I don't even really consider as part of the three. I mean, I had a lot of boyfriends before I got... The three boyfriends that I consider my boyfriends are ones that were like longer than... I mean, they were all 5 years almost or longer. The first one was like 4 years. It was almost 5 years. But they weren't like 6 month, a year relationships. But I had a lot of boyfriends before that I had dated for like 6 months here, 6 weeks there, you know, almost a year. My very first boyfriend was. And we just like, that's what I did. So I was going out like 5-6 nights a week, partying. And my friend who lived here, she was not, because she had a boyfriend. So I became very quickly immersed in the gay community in Indianapolis and was going out all the time. And if I wasn't, then I was over at my friend's house and we were sitting around drinking or smoking weed, and it just was that. And then when I was at home, it was kind of this dichotomy, like, of this weird world that I lived. When I was at home at my apartment, and I can remember sometimes I would go and stay at my dad's house too, because he would say, like, I think that's when they kind of like started to worry a lot about me, because I would just be like, can I come and stay at your house for a while? And he'd be like, yeah, sure. I would get very lonely. And I can remember, like, I would go to my dad's house and I would stay there and I would like eat dinner with them, and then I would go upstairs and I would still drink at my dad's house. You know, this was when I was 18. But like, I would get up and I would go to school the next morning, and then I would go check, you know, sometimes I would stay at my dad's house for 2 and 3 days at a time. I kind of had forgotten about that, actually, until I was just talking about this right now. It's weird. I don't know, I was just very lonely, very sad that first year. Like, I really had nobody. I remember I took this art class. I took a drawing class my whole first year. I always wanted to be an artist, but I'm not very, like, when it comes to like painting and drawing and things like that, I'm just not very technical. I'm not very good. But I took this class. I had this huge, have it still in the basement. Did I throw it away recently? I think I may have just taken the whole thing and thrown it away. But I have this huge, portfolio. My friend and I, we would park way out. It was called e-parking. It was like where you could have, like, all students got e-parking passes. And I can remember my dad at the time, because he was on the university, medical, whatever. He, like, taught classes, like, he was like an adjunct professor, because he would have, like, residency students, you know, and he got, like, an A parking pass, which means basically he could park anywhere. And so I would, like, beg him. I'd be like, can I please have your A parking pass, and can you get me one? And he would be like, no, I'm not getting you one. You can park in E parking like all the other students. So anyway, she and I, like, in the middle of winter, we'd be, like, slipping and sliding on the ice. It seems like winters were so much worse back then. But anyway, I took this art class, this drawing class, and I had this fantastic teacher that I met. Her name was Suzanne. She was fantastic. And she just was, like, the coolest woman, very hippie. And I met two girls in that class, and the three of us became really, really tight. And I would do stuff with them every once in a while, but they weren't super close friends of mine. But I had that class, and then I had, like, a basic, probably, like, psych class, like 101, and then, like, a creative writing class, and then, like, a literature class or sociology. I took, like, so many classes, sociology classes. I took intro to soc. You know, my first 2 or 3 years, I did okay in college. Like, I was able to go to my classes and party. I really don't know how. It was kind of just, like, assumed that if I was going to live in this apartment and basically do nothing but party, then I had to either work full-time or go to school. And in all reality, I was like, I don't want to work full-time. So I went to school, but I had absolutely no idea of what I was going to do for my future. I really didn't, you know. I can remember my dad took me out to lunch, like, 6 months after I was, 6 months before I was, like, supposed to graduate, which I wasn't, because I was so behind at that point, you know. And he was like, what do you plan on doing with your English degree? And I was like, what do you mean? And he was like, well, what do you plan on doing with it? Like, and I was like, I don't know, working for, like, a publishing house. He was like, you're, like, planning on moving to, like, New York or something. I mean, I think he had, like, I think it was, like, wake up moment, and I wasn't catching on, you know? Because, like, I mean, I think to my dad, he was like, okay, this is coming to an end, you know? There was a lot of paperwork stuff, let's just put it that way, with divorce decrees on what my dad had to, like, take care of as far as school and things like that. But I mean, my dad paid for all of my education, which I'm extremely thankful for. And on my sobriety birthday every year, I always call him and thank him for that, and for my sobriety birthday and treatments and all that kind of stuff. But, like, on top of that, he had to, you know, he had to pay for, like, my living expenses while I was, like, in school. But that was only for, like, a limited period of time. It was like for 4 years that I would be in college. So he would have these conversations with me, like, okay, I don't know what you're planning on doing, but I'm not planning on paying forever. So, like, you need to pull it together, right? By the way, I just want to say that, because I don't want anybody to think that I'm taking this lightly, and I usually go into more depth about this. My dad paying for my education, or my parents paying for my education, because my mother put a lot of money into that as well, is one of the greatest gifts I have ever received in my entire life. It is not missed on me. My husband worked a semester to pay for a semester of college. So, like, he would work full time so that he could pay for the next semester where he went part time. Most of my friends paid for their own education. So I'm extremely, extremely grateful for that. It was one of the greatest gifts I've ever been given in my entire life. So anyway, but I can remember having that conversation I can vaguely remember it, having that conversation with my dad, where he was like, what's your plan? Like, what are you gonna do? Like, I'm like, oh, I don't know, like, work for a publishing house. I mean, I really just believed I was gonna work for a publishing house and have some fabulous apartment and, you know, just like, I don't know, you know, drink Jack Daniels, you know, out of a crystal glass and smoke cigarettes with my boyfriend and read books before we go to bed and summer in the Hamptons or something. I don't know what I thought. You know, I really don't. I had no real idea of a future. I do know that. I mean, it's sad looking back, you know. So, yeah, that was that. And then, but I was so lonely that year, you know, and I can remember, like, watching tons and tons of movies. And the other thing is, like, my mom and I have always been close, but, like, probably from my sophomore, junior year in high school to, like, I would say when I got sober. And for me and for her. But, like, those were definitely for her, like, I would say checkout dates, if that makes sense. Like, blackout dates. Not blackout, like, determined out. But, like, you know when you go to, like, Las Vegas and you look at shows and they're, like, Mondays and Tuesdays are blackout days. Like, I don't really remember a whole lot about my mom. It's so hot in here. I don't remember a lot about my mom back then. Like, she just was kind of checked out. Like, my mom worked a lot. She worked at a lot of retail, Macy's and Ayers, I don't know. Anyway, she worked at a lot of different places. At Keystone Crossing, she worked at, like, every store. She worked at, like, Laura Ashley, even. She worked at all these different stores. The Robert Kincaid, is that his name? The painter, she worked at his, I mean, she worked Filofax, all these crazy stores. She hated all of them. And then she would come home and she just would sit and drink and smoke cigarettes. I found, like, an envelope where my mom kept, or maybe it was like a bank envelope, and it was like, you know, like when you write a check and they, like, send your checks back to you. I feel like they don't do that today. Do they do that today? I don't know. But anyway, they used to back in the day. You know, you would get your, like, canceled checks out that you've, like, you know, paid somewhere. And I remember that there were, like, 20 or 30 checks, and they were all for, like, the Susie's liquor store. And on the back, it would, like, they would stamp, like, the receipt. I don't know why. I don't know how I remember this. It was Susie's liquor store, but I do. And on the back, it was, like, the stamped receipt. And I can remember, like, I turned one over, and it was, like, 2 martinis for 2, because my mom used to love these things called martinis for 2 that came in this can. And it was, like, basically 2 martinis mixed in this can, and you would just pour it into a glass, and there you had a martini, right? So she bought 2 martinis for 2, and then it was like a 6-pack of beer, and then it was like a bottle of wine and a pack of cigarettes. And that's, like, was her evening, you know? And I look at that, maybe not the always the bottle of wine, but, and it was like, it came to like 8 something. I remember it was like $8.66, and it was like every single one of these checks was like almost identical from Susie's liquor store. And I thought, my mother is like, and I can remember that as being like, I mean, I always knew growing up that there were problems like with my mom's drinking, but like that as an adult was like, she had that, like, sitting on her, like, desk. So my mom had, like, this desk in her office, or, I mean, in her kitchen. It was, like, one of those built-in desks, you know, where the phone is and stuff. My mom had, like, one of those, and it was, like, sitting on there, and I was, like, waiting for her. I had, like, come over one day, and, I probably was, like, I don't know, 19 or 20, and I can remember it was just sitting there, and I opened it, and, she had, like, all these checks, and I can just remember thinking to myself, that is so sad. But, you know, the reality is, at that time, like, I was going to my dad and my stepmom's probably 4 nights a week and running over there and making a sandwich and coming back to my house. And that was not even when my drinking was that bad. I would stop there on the way home from school, and I was hardly ever going to my mom's house. My mom and I had really no relationship whatsoever at that point. And I can remember thinking, like, that's so sad, you know, that my mom is, like, just sitting here drinking so much every night. Like, it just breaks my heart. And, you know, in retrospect, I know that she was absolutely terrified in that house, because it's a huge house that she was in that she was scared of. And, you know, she was lonely. And I think that's just, and I think she had a lot of mental health issues, and I think that was just how she dealt with all of it. And at the same time, here I am looking at that thinking how sad. And I would leave my dad's house and I would go home, and I always had liquor at home if I hadn't drank through it. But by that point, I wasn't really doing that, like, to that degree. But I would stop and I would get, like, a lot of times towards the end, because the way that it started was I would just stop at the liquor store. Towards the end, for some reason, I had to have some justifiable reason, because, well, at that point I had also, like, had a lot of, like, you know, I got DUIs and stuff like that. So I think in my head, I had to kind of, like, you know, rationalize it. But I would stop at the liquor store, this Ace Liquors, on the way home. I don't know how I remember these liquor stores, but I do. It's just a small liquor store. It's not there anymore. And I would get a 6-pack of Red Stripe, and then either a pint or a 5th of, like, Jack Daniels. Or back then, I was drinking, like, vodka. I was drinking Absolute or whatever. I mean, I didn't really care brand-wise. The older I got and the less money I had, the more I cared about brand names. But, like, early on, I didn't really care about brand names. But I would ask my dad, like, when I was leaving, I'd be like, oh, this was what I would always say. I'd say, can I have gas money? And he would give, for school. And so he would give me, like, my dad would give me, like, $10 or $20. Well, that $10 or $20 went 100% exclusively to alcohol, period, end of story. Always. And then I would go home, and I can remember I would, like, take a shower, take my school books in. I did homework. I mean, sometimes I did, you know, and I would do whatever I had to do. And then, like, I would sit there and I would just, like, watch movies on, like, I didn't even have a couch when I first moved in that apartment. I had 2 director's chairs and this desk in between it that I still have that, like, not a desk, a table. I still have that table in my office. And, you know, I would just, like, sit there on the floor or in bed. I think that's where I really started drinking and smoking a lot in bed, because I would sit in bed. My pot smoking wasn't even really heavy at that point. It was really mostly drinking. I mean, the pot smoking kind of came and went depending on my access to it. But at that time, like, I'm talking about my first year of college. Which is funny because all of my friends that went to college, like, they were smoking pot, like, all the time, you know? But for me, it was really just a lot of drinking. I had one other friend, actually, that went to college with me, and she was a year ahead of me. But she was always a hard worker. She worked at Burger King when we were in high school, and she was a manager by the time that we graduated. She paid for her, like, mom's, like, mortgage and stuff like that. And I mean, today she has this unbelievable job. She is, like, a workhorse. She's such a hard worker. And she ended up going, like, she went to school where I went to school at IUPUI, and we would see each other on campus, and she and I'd hang out together, and we would walk a lot in the evenings. I remember she was not a big drinker. Like, she would go out and have, like, one drink and get a little buzz, and, like, that was it for the evening. But she was not, like, a big drinker by any means. She didn't like it. And so she would come over after school sometimes, and we would walk. We would take these long walks. We did that, I feel like, later when I got sober too, but maybe I'm thinking of somebody else. The first year was just kind of really hard for me. I can remember, like, it's funny because I was having a dream a couple nights ago about that apartment that I lived in, and it wasn't, like, a bad dream, but, like, I have really mixed emotions about that first apartment that I lived in. Like, I mean, now it's been, like, 30 years, you know, I mean, literally it's been 30 years, and I used to think that apartment was so cool, and, you know, all of this, and it had all these great, you know, memories in it and stuff like that, but, like, it was a very sad apartment too, you know. It was like, I don't know, I really don't miss it, like, at all. Like, I don't know why I would. Of all of my apartments, it's literally, it was a nice apartment, but it was the least nicest of all of my apartments, put it that way. I had so much crap in that apartment, just everywhere. And, I, like, had this, like, wooden bird cage that I found, like, in the trash can. It was like this 3-tiered bird cage, and I had it hanging in the corner. I had these Barbie dolls sitting everywhere, these it was weirdness. It was very artsy. Like, so like, people would come over and they'd be like, oh my God, I love your apartment, you know, but it was like, it was fun artsy. It wasn't like, I don't know, like, I look back on it, it definitely got cozier towards the end, but it wasn't like what I would call like a cozy home, you know. It was like, except for my bedroom. But even my bedroom wasn't. I had this like huge papasan chair from Pier 1 in the corner, you know, and then I had like this makeshift bed that my dad had helped me make, and it was like a futon, but not really. It was like this wood thing, and then it was like a bed with no box springs, basically. And I always just had like a white comforter on. I actually still have that white comforter at home. And 30 years I've had that comforter. That is crazy. I didn't even think about that. No wonder it's falling apart. Every time I pull it out, I'm always like, why is this falling apart? I love this so much. I don't know, maybe I needed to talk about this tonight. You know, sometimes I look at that old apartment and it's like, I think about like all the things that happened in my past. Like, that was where I met Todd, you know? And I don't think about Todd very often. Unless I'm talking in my vlog about Todd, I don't think about him. But I can see us sitting in that apartment, and I can see us like walking down to the gas station. But I didn't meet Todd until I was sober. So I met Todd. So Todd was, if you don't know who I'm talking about, he was the boyfriend that I had that I always thought I would end up with in my life. And curly hair, round rim glasses, tall, so sexy, so cute, and played bass in a band, wrote me a song called St. Peter. But like, throughout my entire life, like, whenever we would run into each other or whenever we would reach out to each other, it was bad timing, like always. And a couple years ago, God, it's been a long time now. It's probably been 6 years now, 6 or 7 years. I was sitting over at my friend's house, and my sober friend, and we were just like swapping stories about old boyfriends and stuff. And I was like, oh my God, let me show you this guy that I used to date. He's so cute and whatever. And at that time, I hadn't talked to him in probably, like, we had a bad ending the last time. And I've talked about that on here, and I'm not really in the mood to talk about it tonight, so I'm not going to, because it just brings me down. But that was when I knew that he was probably pretty heavily using drugs. I think he was using crystal meth pretty bad. And he was visiting here or staying with his parents or something. I don't know. But anyway, so I went to Facebook to show her pictures of him. And all these people had put, like, rest in peace. But it was like, had been up there for like 2 years. He had died like 2 years before that. He had been gone for like a long time, and I didn't even know it. Yeah, like, I can remember I came home that night, and I told Alex, I can't remember how I said it, but I said something about, because he got real defensive real quick. Like, I said, oh, I was showing I was telling him about he knew my friend, her name, and I was like, oh, I was telling, you know, so-and-so about this guy. I was showing her the pictures, like, I was telling him the story of what had happened, and I was like upset about it. And I was like, I was showing her the pictures on Facebook of the guy that I always thought that I would end up with. And he knew of, like, Todd. He had heard me talk about Todd. Like, I had talked about him and, like, how I thought that's who I would end up with. Like, he and I had that conversation. And he looked at me and he goes, well, you can still end up with him if you want. And I'll never forget, I looked at him and I go, well, actually, no, I can't, because he's dead. And I found out tonight that he was dead. He felt real bad, but I think, like, you know, I've lost a lot of people in my life. For all kinds of reasons, you know. It's not just, when you get to be my age, people just die, you know. It's not because of, like, every person I've lost in my life is because of drugs or alcohol. And I don't really, to be honest with you, I don't know why he passed away. To this day, I don't know. You know, I talked to his closest friend and reached out to her, and his family decided not to have a funeral, and they didn't have an obituary, and they didn't tell anybody, and it was his family was never okay with him being gay, first of all. Ever. So, I mean, and he was with somebody for a long time. He was with this guy for like 20 years that he had met in IU, and they had a dog together, and domestic partnership in California. They had lived in San Francisco and stuff for years together. And his partner had died like, I don't know, like 2 years before him. But like, I look back, I can see myself, like, as I'm telling the story, I can see myself like on the couch, sitting there with him, you know, like all these candles lit, and we're like smoking cigarettes, and he's playing like he introduced me to Dave Matthews Band, you know, like, and I can remember he like played the Christmas song for me, and like, I can see myself like in that moment, you know, like, and he'll always like hold a piece of my youth. And like, now he's gone, you know, like, and even if I never really talk to him, it's like he holds that moment of who I was at that time, you know. He was such a kind person. He was such a good person. And I remember even when he broke up with me, like, he broke up with me because he wanted to go to IU, and he didn't want to like have anything holding him back. And I was here, and I wanted to settle down at age 17. Like, I've always been that person that wanted to settle down, right? And so I remember we went and talked, and he was like, you know, I'm going to IU, and I said, I know. And he goes, and I don't want to leave, like, basically anything behind. Like, I don't want to be in a relationship. Like, I want to go down there and be able to experience living on a campus. And he was very honest with me, you know. And I can remember looking at him, and I said, I don't want to hold you back from anything. Like, I want you to have your life. Like, I want you to go down there and, you know, have the best life possible. And he was like, I appreciate that. Like, I mean, that means a lot to me. I actually later had a friend of mine, an ex-boyfriend of mine, that stirred some stuff up and made a bunch of lies up about him. I don't even know why. And he like called him three-way with me and like settled it. And he was like, it was like probably the first time in my life that I'd ever actually had like a guy, because you have to remember I hadn't come out that soon before that, you know, that I had a guy like stand up for me. Like, and it was like such a sexy move. Like, he was like, he put this guy in his, this guy had been somebody I had dated too, but he kind of put him in his space, you know. And anyway, Todd used to write me these poems. I should see if I can find the poems that he wrote me downstairs in the basement. I have them in an envelope down there somewhere. Or if I could find the, I have a song that he wrote me, St. Peter. I have it written down there. I can still see it in my head. I can still see his handwriting. Isn't that so funny? It's just such an easy way about him, you know? I think you get older in life and you realize that, like, you know, like, even if he and I weren't gonna, like, end up together, because the reality is we were probably never meant to be together if we didn't end up together, you know what I mean? There just was a lot of stuff. And, like, I still wish we would have stayed friends, you know? Like, there were years that we didn't talk to each other. And I think as you get older, you realize, like, you allow people to, like, go to the side that, you know, like my friend that was messaging me to me, like, we haven't talked in forever, you know? And it's like, I don't know, it's like, I wish I hadn't let some friendships go so easily, I guess. Like, and I know they're not friendships where there were fights or anything. It's nothing like that, you know? It's just, people get busy and you get jobs and, you know, like, people have kids and get married, and one second you're seeing each other every weekend and talking every day on the phone. And you know, Tanya's like the only person in my entire life that I have really ever kept up. I've had like two friends in my life that I would consider as close to each other. One was Tanya, and before Tanya, it was my friend that lives in Berlin now. And I haven't seen her in I bet it's been 20 years since I've seen her. It's at the end. I didn't even realize it was at the end. I was going to try to make this not too long. The last time I saw her, my old roommate, we were at the library. I was at the library in Fishers, and I was living with my ex. Well, it would have had to have been the last 20 years then, because he and I started dating in 2001, that summer, and I saw her at the library. I remember she was driving a yellow pickup truck, and she was living with her brother. And then was that then? Yeah, it would have had to have been. No, we kept in contact after that because she moved to New York. I think she was here for a while her husband was like on tour. And then she was here for a little bit, and then she moved to New York, and they lived in New York. They lived in Brooklyn for a while. And then from Brooklyn, they moved to Germany. Maybe there's been like 10 years where she and I didn't talk like regularly, because there was like a while where she and I would talk like every other month, like every third month we'd call each other on the phone and talk. Part of the problem is the time difference between here and Germany, but we really haven't. We've been planning on like talking on the phone for a long time, but we haven't. Oh my God, I would love to do a video with her. You guys have no idea. The stories that she could tell on me, let me just tell you. Oh my God, of back in the day. We used to have so much fun together. But anyway, she was like my diehard, ride or die, true Judy back in the day. We used to say we'd get married if we never met anybody. And then like I got sober and I met Tanya, and Tanya has been my next best one, you know, and like I've known Tanya for 23 years of my life, and going on 24 now. And, you know, I've been very, very blessed to have people like that in my life. But there's been a lot of friends of mine from high school, friends of mine from that, you know, I've just known from here or there, work friends, things like that. Like work friends, I think are especially hard because, like, you know, when you leave, like you work together, so you see those people 40 hours a week, and then when you quit that job and you leave, it's like, well, you don't see them as much anymore, you know what I mean? And, well, you don't see them as, some of these people that I used to work with, I haven't seen at all since I left, except for like my mom's funeral. I mean, I haven't seen literally like at all. And so it's hard because, like, you know, you have to go out of your way. I mean, nobody wants to make plans. It's cold in here now. Nobody wants to make plans, you know, including myself. Sometimes it's hard. I'd rather sit at home and watch a TV show than make plans to go see somebody, you know what I mean? It's hard. So we don't do that stuff a lot today in our society, you know, and friendships, I think, go to the side, and it's sad. And then you wake up one day and you realize, well, I haven't seen so-and-so for 15 years or 10 years or whatever, you know? Like, there are people that I worked with that, like, I literally saw every single day, 50 hours, 40 to 50 hours a week, right? Every single day, working, that I have not seen in almost 14 years. I'm coming up on 14 years having not been there. Almost 14 years I haven't seen these people. And I saw them for, you know, 40 hours a week, every single week I saw them. For years and years and years. Am I coming up on 13 years? No, this was 12. I'm coming up on 13 years that I've been gone. I was there 13 years. I've been gone. This is crazy. I have been gone almost as long as I was there. Isn't that crazy? I'm out in Cornfield Central right now. Do you guys want to see? It actually smells really good. You can't see, but those are cornfields. Can you see? Oh. I miss a lot of those people I used to work with. I worked with some great people. It smells so good out here. This reminds me of my aunt and uncle's farm when I was growing up as a kid that I would stay at. Look, if you want to see something scary, look at that right there. I don't know why that's scary, but it is. Do you guys love smells? I just love the smells of outside. You know, I just realized that the dates of the state fair came and went, and I never even noticed it this year because I didn't have it or anything about it. Sad, isn't it? Well, all right, you guys, listen, I'm going to get off here now, and I did a little bit longer tonight. Not too much longer, but a little bit longer. Trying to, like, ease my way into these getting longer and longer again. Hey, I did a 3-hour vlog this summer. So, anyway, I'm just going to say a quick good night tonight. Thank you guys for watching my vlog. If you like this video vlog, give it a big thumbs up. I'd really appreciate it. Make sure that you're subscribed to this channel and all of my channels. If you like my videos, then please do. And turn on the notifications. And everybody in the comment section, let's leave blue hearts and blue emojis for the OG Wolfpack. That's all of us over here trying to get through life. Just one day at a time, trying to be positive, love, kind, caring, and compassionate to one another. And I hope you guys are having an amazing Thursday. I love you. Thank you so much for watching. If nobody else has told you this today, I love you. Be kind to one another, and do something nice for somebody else. Reach out to them and let somebody know how much they mean to you. And don't forget, you can start your day over whenever you want. I love you guys so much, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye. Love ya!